and I'm very glad that we can be hosting this event, because today we'll be talking about a topic which is very dear to me, and that's something without which our apps wouldn't ever run, and that's cloud infrastructure. And today will be somehow special, because usually we do these talks when each talk has a topic, but today we'll have a panel discussion, and I'll be joined by 3 people who really know their stuff in cloud world. So I prepared some spicy questions for them, and let's find out if they're going to fight. So anyway, we'll do this in 2 parts, and in the first part, that will be like half an hour. Then there will be a slight pause where you can get refreshed and talk for a bit, and then we will do the rest of the questions. And for the whole thing, there will be a Slido up, which is right now on the QR code, which won't be visible for much longer, so go away and scan it. And it's also right here, so if you have any questions, write them into Slido, and I'll be sure to schedule them. So, without further ado, our first panelist for the evening is my very good friend Dominik from Applifting Cloud Engineering. And Dominik is the person who invited our other 2 guests today, so I'll let him introduce them.
Is it working? Yeah. Thank you, Philip. Hi, everybody. So let me invite to the stage Matúš Kocka, Tech Director of the Rouvy, and Tomáš Papež, CTO of Vortex.
Ahoj,
ahoj, ahoj, ahoj.
We have only one mic?
Yeah.
On for you.
No, like.
You have only one mic. You have only one mic because we don't want you to shout through each other, and you'll need to take turns. Yeah, definitely. That could work as well. Anyway, so before we begin, the introduction was quite brief. So if you could tell our audience who you are and why the hell should they listen to whatever you say in this panel? Could you describe yourself and the companies you work at in a few sentences?
Okay, so my name is Dominik. I work in Applifting, obviously, especially in Applifting Cloud department. I'm in Applifting, like, I don't know, 5th employee or something like that, so I'm here like for 10 years, like this year. And I don't know, a couple of years ago, we founded Applifting Cloud department within Applifting together with Martin. And yes, we are doing like professional services around cloud. We do all big providers such as GCP, AWS, Azure, and I think that's it for brief introduction.
Cool. Hi, I'm Tomáš. I'm a CTO of Vortex. We are Google Cloud partner. That means we are focusing on Google and GCP. Anyway, we know the others like AWS, Azure, and so on. And from my history, I work with cloud for like 15 years or something like that, since the beginning when the only offering in Google was BigQuery and App Engine. No one knew what is cloud back then.
Hi, my name is Matúš Kocka. I am technical director in Rouvy. Rouvy is a single product company based here in Czech Republic, and we are making software for indoor cycling reality. We are a global company, second biggest on the market, and I'm here because we are fully integrated in Google Cloud. We are actually a cloud native company. We will be probably speaking about that. So we know all the fancy technologies, and we are using that. So I can tell you more about that briefly.
Thanks for the answers. Yeah, maybe I can introduce myself as well. So I'm Philip, I'm founder of Applifting, and I don't do cloud engineering much, but that just means I have the better questions because some of you may also not be cloud engineers. So let's find out how much we can learn today together. And my first question is actually for you, the audience. So who of you is using cloud? I would expect most of you, yeah. And my first question for the panelists is, when you should not use a cloud?
So this is actually our first question, and I have a very nice preparation for that. So my idea is that you should not use cloud when you have some specific load which is dependent on big amount of data. Like you need like really huge storage, because data are expensive in cloud. When you really need a compute, and when you are not earning much money because you are doing some stuff with that. So for example, if you are doing scientific computation, then cloud is probably not the best place for you. Also, if you need some kind of special certification or you need to run some special software, it's probably better to deploy it onto some colocation or to some bare metal, something like that, because it is not a cloud-native workload or application, whatever. And also, if you have a huge but very steady workload, then you can probably predict and calculate your spending, and probably it's better to build something on your own. But these are very rare scenarios, because if you are building your own data center, it's expensive. Like it's really expensive, not the computer and stuff, but also the air conditioning, electricity, building itself, on the preparation. That is very expensive, and it's also very hard to work with hardware itself. Like who from you work with some like bare metal server or something in data center in the last month? Yeah, so 3. Also David somewhere here, because we were in data center a few days ago, so 4. And that's the reason why not many people or companies are building like on-prem data centers now, because it's expensive and you actually don't need it. But some companies does, but I don't know many actually around. And also, like, good thing is that now you can have like managed colocation or rent a server somewhere. I actually work in the company where we rented 700 servers. So that's my answer to that.
Yeah, I will connect to that when not to use cloud. I remember my days exactly as you said, when I was like 20-ish and I needed to go to the data center, change a hard disk at 3 a.m. because it freaking died. Then I don't want more people to suffer this pain anymore. But back to reality. I know, for example, from the companies you might know, BetterStack is a huge fan of on-premise, because they have very, let's call it, small amount of engineers, and they really understand the bits and pieces, and they are getting the most out of the hardware. They are squeezing it to the last megahertz of the CPU and so on and so forth, and they know what they are doing. Then for them, I can imagine it works. They have the very few rare, amazing engineers who can do that. If you look to the engineers today, many of them don't really know the hardware and how to work with it, how to install packages to Linux, how to operate it, and you need to know all this. How to install database, okay, you can ask AI to give me the command, but how to operate it day 2, this kind of stuff, then that's where I would advise, hey, go to cloud, because you don't know what you are doing. But again, for some companies it makes sense. Another example, Matúš mentioned a lot of data. I agree but disagree. If you have a lot of data and you need to analyze them, I'd say cloud is the best. On GCP, you can say like BigQuery. You can process terabytes and terabytes of data in seconds. But for example, I know a case where they are processing like shitload of images and they are applying some filters on it, yada, 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 and sending it out. This is expensive, like traffic out of the cloud. Then it really depends on the case. And yes, there are cases where cloud just does not make sense.
Yeah, I just want to mention a very good friend of mine, Petr Kubanek, maybe somebody of you know him. He's working on Vera Rubin telescope, which is a scientific instruments in desert in Chile, and they have like huge camera. And the thing about data is that they are producing 3 terabytes of data each 20 seconds. So they are doing something like 5 to 7 petabytes per day. and they need to analyze that on the fly and store something. So computing this in cloud is possible, but you will never be able to pay BigQuery for this. Like if I don't know who you will need to be to do it. So this is exactly the reason why, because it is not a critical, it doesn't matter if it is failed or you rerun it, then you don't need to have it in cloud. And you need to build super expensive, but less expensive than cloud solution on-prem hardware, which they're actually doing.
I just want to say it's super hard to be third in the row and also be in a panel with these two guys. But I will try to be short. Like from my perspective, and it would be much more from the business side, I think there is always needs to have some proper analysis why to go to the cloud. What is the expectation of going to cloud? For example, we have lots of companies which are scaling, and they come to us and say, hey, we need to go to cloud. And we start asking the question, okay, why? What is your goal in 1, 2, 3 years? What is the expected, I don't know, scale of your services and this kind of stuff? So this is super important, and my answer is like, don't go to cloud because it's cool. Go there because you see some opportunity there.
That means go out of cloud because it's cool, it's all over Twitter.
Yeah, that's actually one of the questions. Like now, it's cool to go out of cloud. Like many companies actually finish the migration to cloud, and now you can hear some like podcasts that companies are thinking, we need to go out of cloud because it's damn expensive. So is it that your second question? because if yes, I will give a microphone to Dominik.
I think I'm going to skip this question and go straight to the next one. So
I just want to say it's always the same, like going into the cloud or going from the cloud. Like do the proper analysis, know the strategy and this kind of stuff. Don't do that because you, I don't know, read article on LinkedIn.
yeah, it seems like there's no silver bullet anyway. So let's continue. So if you look at the how the cloud landscape looks right now, can you share with us what is your long-term vision for how the cloud operations will look in the future?
Okay. I think it would be like kind of same as in other industries because I have some kind of background in software as well. I think it would be somehow connected with AI. It would be some, I don't know, automatic provisioning of infrastructure, but I don't think so that in some reasonable horizon there will be like no need for actual operation engineers because still, from my perspective, cloud is some kind of really specialized service also within the companies and also in the teams. And yeah, that's it. I think it would be like we are like looking for some kind of automated solution, how to deploy, operate infrastructure, maybe also in field of the security. Yeah, Tomáš?
Yeah, exactly as you said, like AI is impacting everything, it's the buzzword. What I love from the real products which appeared recently is the Pulumai and AI. You say, hey, I want to deploy my website to AWS and I want bucket to store my files, and this thing generates for you the code in Pulumai, and you can say, okay, I want this in Terraform. You just copy paste it and you have your code, you have your infrastructure. Connect this to some automation in CI, make it reliable, and you don't need operations and DevOps, and the people can focus somewhere else. And you mentioned security. I love the application of AI and this like big data in incident management. Tell me what the hell happened. And it tells you, okay, your CPU spiked, it started to log errors here and there. It's amazing for incident analysis.
So they both said exactly what I have prepared, and because it's true because you can like easily predict the landscape. But there is one more thing, and you didn't mention that, and I think it's actually quite important. It's like clouds want to be more green. It may sound funny for us, but it's actually a big thing. So you can probably, if you are provisioning something in AWS or Google Cloud, you can see that some regions have that little green leaf, and it's because they want to be like more green, carbon footage neutral and stuff like that. And it's important for them because for many companies it is important, and because they have some kind of certification and stuff like that, that they are green, and they cannot use a non-green cloud. And also it is important because of the electricity consumption. So like the biggest deal in the like clouds is that actually cloud, that's a computer who belongs to someone else. It's actually a shitload of computers in one huge building or several buildings eating a shitload of electricity to cool them down. So what is now changing is that these data centers are building in the area where land is cheap, electricity is cheap, and also it's not very, very warm there. But that's tricky because then it cannot be in, let's say, close to equator. So if you are building some real-time application you want to build in cloud, you don't have much clouds in these warm environments because it's actually very expensive to run a computer there. So this is the deal, and this is something which is changing now because new data centers are built, like lots of data centers actually are built because, you know, everybody wants to use cloud, but its electricity is like really expensive. So this is a big thing. This is how the big companies now are thinking how to build their infrastructure.
This brings me to idea I discussed with a friend of mine. By the way, it's called ESG, the European Green Regulations. And it's like, you mentioned it, it's moving to green electricity. It's everything is cheaper, right? The CPUs for the power, it's cheaper, and so on and so forth. Why the cloud is still more and more expensive or stays on the same, most give or take? Should we expect the lower prices on cloud because they will use more free energy from the sun and so on? Will this affect the prices and then change the direction of migrating out of cloud again?
I think no. Because the demand for electricity will be bigger and bigger, and until we have like cold fusion or actually thermonuclear reactor, which is now building, the ITER, so until that, it will be super expensive. And it will be more and more expensive also because of AI, because if you want to do AI, like everybody wants to do AI, and you need to like create models, and that needs a shitload of graphical cards. And you probably see the NVIDIA stocks skyrocketing, and these cards are actually consuming a lot of energy, and this is not going to change in the next few years.
Yeah, I basically agree. Like it's not only about the demand on the electricity, but also demand on the cloud itself. So I think they are trying to move the data center into, like, let's say, more efficient location, but the price will be increasing, like, in my opinion.
Right. Thanks for the vision. I think that like automatic zero footprint cloud sounds amazing to me as a developer. So thumbs up for that. But if we would stick to like concrete cloud technologies for, let's say, 2024, which we should like look at and which will be a hit of this year, could you introduce some of those?
Like, honestly, I don't have like anything in mind particularly, but I can tell you what I would like to see this year, and it would be, and Tomáš slightly mentioned it about AI with alerting and this kind of stuff, and yeah, it's like some kind of automated observability of the infrastructure and also the stack, because I think everybody knows that there are like lots of alerts on the environment, and it's like tons of messages in kind of some Slack channels, also in some management tools, and it's really hard to decide which of these alerts are actually like important and which not. And I would like to see some kind of improvement in this area, like using generative AI in combination with observability and this kind of stuff to be like able to offload this like ton of work of people to AI, let us decide and guide us what is important, how to, for example, fix the infrastructure, find some patterns. For example, okay, you have this kind of application, the expected behavior is this because it's based on, I don't know, 6 months of operation. Now it started doing this thing. Maybe there is some, I don't know, issue with performance this or this kind of stuff. So this is like from my side.
So I think, yeah, like one thing definitely will be AI-powered whatever thingy you are using. Then I think like big thing in tech, like in software, in cloud, is probably like FinOps. Like now it is more important for companies to save money, and it is more important for them to have some observability into finance. What is cost, how much money, and like clouds itself are not really good for providing you this information, obviously, because they don't really want you to optimize, like they want, but not really. But now the customers really want to optimize, either they will go out of cloud. So the cloud companies are providing more and more tools to give you the ability to actually see. And that this is one of the biggest trends. And other trend, which is like more nerdy, I think it's like in future, we will have more ARM CPUs inside the cloud. So Google Cloud is started with that already. Other clouds so, and there are many reasons for that. First of all, power consumption. Second of all, like ARMs, like M1 CPUs in your Apple or M2, M3, these are RISC CPUs. And for some kind of operations, they are like really faster. And this is like faster and less amount of electricity is basically better. Definitely for like serverless workloads, like simple serverless workloads, I can imagine like this is like the way how to really optimize. And also like these CPUs are like better in comparison efficiency and temperature, basically temperature output. So it's easier to cool them down. So I think like ARM CPUs is the biggest thing which will happen soon, and probably will kill Intel.
Yeah, I like the way of serverless. We talked about it for past few years, but now even enterprises are going this way. And what I wanted to add, I completely forgot.
Never
Okay.
mind. Maybe you'll find out later. Anyway, Matúš already touched the topic of finances, which are, well, if not the most important, then no, they actually are most important for most customers. So, what is the best place to save on cloud, and where are the places where you shouldn't make compromises and not save?
Yeah, I'd say this depends always, as we talked in the beginning. But I have one very nice saying, like if your application sucks, no FinOps will save you. Like if your application is written the bad way and it consumes all the memory it sees, no FinOps will help you. No resizing of machines or something like that will ever help you. Then the best way to save money is talk to our developers and ask them why the hell the application consumes this amount of resources, and where to start, understand how much the application costs, and then go towards, let's say, unit economy this way, basically. Otherwise, yes, you might, the old way of FinOps is, hey, here is one VM, you can resize it. Okay, good, we know it. There is one forgotten disk. This is like all the clouds are giving you these hints. You can just go click few times, save the money, right? Resize it. On the Kubernetes, you see the recommendations, how the utilization. We have the tools, but in reality, I believe FinOps is about talking to developers and optimizing on this level. No infrastructure will save you.
Yeah, I agree in this with Tomáš. I have like kind of same experience with our clients, because it's really easy to say like, okay, the cloud is expensive, let's cut the bill, but doing in the manner that, okay, so we will, I don't know, basically shut down some kind of services without context is always the worst scenario of the things. So it's really important to like know the whole process, like the application, the development, the infrastructure as well, and do this saving in awareness of this, because we experienced many times that, I don't know, some developers wanted to save some cost on the cloud, they descale some kind of services which result in like complete disaster and outage of like production services. So it's always good doing this in like whole picture of the whole application, whole process.
Yeah, and I will maybe add one thing. FinOps is cool, saving is cool, everybody is doing it these days, but if your company is growing and the costs for the cloud are just not that huge, and if your developers will focus on bringing new features to the market which will make me $10 billion instead of saving $2,000 a month, please do develop the feature. Don't worry about the cost of the cloud, because then once your company will be profitable and making shitload of money, you will have the time and luxury to hire the people and make the cloud amazing and efficient.
Yeah, you know that you will never have time. Yeah, so I actually agree, but I think like there are like basic steps you can do, which are basically check all the outliers and changes, like percentage changes on your services, and if something is like skyrocketing, then basically look at it and kill it, or if you have a like good idea what is happening there, then keep it, and then use a budget alerts, and then obviously use everything, like use cloud, what is good for. So if you have some workloads which are like base workloads, always are the same, and you can predict how they are growing, like some databases or some VMs, then put a commitment to it. And these commitments are typically easy to do. You need to think twice, but if you are able to set it, then you can save like 30%. That's cool. Then you need to look into things which are expensive, and you don't need to use them, like some data in the buckets. Like, why do you want to store something in the bucket? Then change the bucket policy. Look into networking. Like, it's typical in cloud that you are sending data from one location to another location. Like, why? And this can save you some money. But the most important thing is, when you are looking into cloud billing, you are paying monthly. But you don't need to look in monthly way. You need to look in a yearly way, because your company is doing all the money stuff, all the computation, everything, all the budgets yearly. But if something costs $1,000, I used to say, $1,000 per month, okay, not that big deal. No, it's not 1,000, it's 12,000. And it sounds different, you know, like 12,000, like it's okay, it's cool party for my team. And it could be some tool, useful. So why to spend it on some bucket? And it can go on and on. It depends on size of your company. And if you have this approach, you can lower the cost, or at least looking onto it, and have like reasonable price.
Yeah, maybe one thing to add to this. Yes, these are the hints which you usually also have from the providers itself in the console. If you are on GCP, there is a FinOps hub where you can basically see the recommendations. One more tip is, I said don't focus on FinOps that much, and if you want to start, it's great to start, okay, let's do FinOps sessions once in a quarter, once in a year, something like that. And don't overdo it. Once you will be bigger, let's say 50, 100 engineers, you can have a DevOps person dedicated to FinOps and who will be, exactly as you said, keeping eye on it. He will use the export to some warehouse and examining exactly what's going on, where you released, and now the release affected the cost, and so on and so forth. But for the smaller companies, the startups, do it, but do it periodically. Don't focus on it just because now. Have the plan.
Wait, and there is one more trick. So in many clouds, you are starting with some new service. You have some like free money. Like they give you like you have some budget of something, I don't know, hours, gigabytes per service, per something, per usage. And typically when you are using it normally, you will spend this like first day in a month. But it's typically per project. So if you are using like many projects and you separate it very smartly, your like deployment to several very small projects, then you can have like these like free budgets for a longer period of time, and you can save a lot of money, which is good if you are a small company, because it's not that much work and you can utilize this, and it's perfectly legal, right? So nobody will like look at you that you are some kind of cheater.
Yeah, there is one more way if you want to go that way, Dominik, is commitments, agreements, and so on and so forth. It's kind of FinOps, but it's not.
I just wanted to add something to the credits, because sometimes I have a like different approach, because what I see from my expertise is that lots of companies, like request as many credits as possible in the beginning, but these credits expires in some day. So what I see that they got, I don't know, 5,000 bucks in the credits, and they end up and they spend, I don't know, only 1,000. So my advice is like, do this reasonably, because maybe it's better to request the credits like after some certain time, because then you will actually spend it. Yeah. And okay, you want to continue?
No, I completely agree. Seen tens of companies doing this.
Yeah, but that's also tricky because it can be a dark path. Because the cloud, they know that if they give you a shitload of credits for, I don't know, graphical cards, TPUs, something, and you are going to use it and you are going to utilize it for your product, then there is no way back. Because after some time, you will end up with credit, and then you will be paying a shitload of money. So of course you can ask for some discount, but then you will be there forever, which is okay. But it will be expensive because they use the credit to actually let you habilitate really in that cloud. But this is why the credits are there, and that's the reason why they can give you any amount of credits, because eventually they will run out and you need to pay.
Yeah, and with this we are moving to the topic like, what is my company strategy? Is it exactly as you, Matúš, said, like, I am going to commit that I will stay with my provider, whatever it is, Google, AWS, and go native to this provider and utilize as much benefits as the provider can give me, credits, discount, engineers, whatever. Or I want to be left and right. Yeah, I see.
We'll definitely get to that. So, Dominik, just in short, would you want to add?
I just want to say, and this will be a little bit business for Tomáš, like if you are starting with cloud and you are aware that it's like a completely messy landscape, it could be really overwhelming to get known all of the rules of the pricing and this kind of stuff. And like all big providers such as GCP, AWS, Azure have partners, and it's always good to go in this with the partner, because the partner have the expertise of the pricing and could advise you on that.
So thanks for the amazing hacks for the finances, and I especially like the one Dominik mentioned, because like getting the production down is the best one because it saves most money, I expect. Anyway, Tomáš, you touched the topic of cloud agnostic versus cloud native technologies and projects. So what are your opinions? Who of you is pro cloud agnostic?
Yes, so I have a very strong opinion.
And which one is it?
Yeah, I'm definitely against cloud agnostic approach.
Cloud native. Anyone else team cloud native?
Kind of. Like, yes, mostly.
Okay, Dominik?
I'm like in a transition kind of, because we do lots of stuff agnostic, but some things it could do cloud native, but maybe it would be rather more agnostic right now.
I'll consider you team agnostic.
So, if I'd connect to that, I'm the team, use whatever suits your workload. As we talked in the beginning, if your workload needs to run on web metals because whatever reason, just go hybrid. I'm not team like forced cloud.
So, Matúš, you are cloud native, right?
Yeah, like
could you explain in what ways the cloud agnostic is better?
So, in general, cloud agnostic means that you are doing your deployment and everything in cloud that way that you can easily migrate out from that exact cloud. So you can like swap your workloads between several clouds, or you live in some kind of hybrid cloud. So if you really need to migrate, or you need to use many clouds, then you probably need to be cloud agnostic and think that your database can be Snowplow, Aurora, GCP, SQL, or whatever, BigQuery, and you need to have this agnostic attitude. But I think it is very bad for a small company. It's okay-ish for a big company.
We'll get to that. So Dominik, team cloud agnostic. Why would be cloud native better?
Yeah, okay. I think it's about it's always about a trade-off between like managed services given by the provider and some kind of let's say open source services managed by your own team. But from my perspective, what is the key values of the cloud native approach is like that support from the provider, because you can easily turn on lots of feature without any effort. Just turn on and it works, and it's completely okay for a long time of your company. So it would be like a support and like readiness of the things and of the products.
Thanks. So, Tomáš, do you agree with these assessments?
Kind of, yes. I have one use case where cloud agnostic is the only way. And that's when you are bundling your software, usually for B2Bs. Let's say I need to deploy my service to GCP, I need to deploy it also to Azure, I need to deploy it to customer's environment, which is wherever, even on-prem. In this case, yes, bundle it as cloud agnostic, put everything together as a package and be cloud agnostic. Does not make sense to go one cloud or another. Or you want to offer your product on cloud marketplaces, right? All of them, I believe you know, have Google Marketplace, Azure Marketplace, AWS too. If you want to offer it on these marketplaces and it's your core business, then it's good to have it cloud agnostic, because then your team knows one stack and you don't have 3 teams and each of them have different deployments, yada, yada, yada. Then in this case, I would agree that cloud agnostic might be a better approach than cloud native.
Okay, thanks. So, it seems that the opinions vary, so pick your side. Anyway, my last question for the first part of the panel discussion is that, sorry, bear with me for a second. Cloud Ops itself is closely tied to other areas of software development. For example, development itself, design, management, everything. So what kind of responsibilities should stay with the Cloud Ops team, and what kind of responsibilities should be definitely outside of that team?
You have strong opinions.
I don't have actually strong opinion on this term. It really depends what you are actually doing in that cloud. Like if you are deploying, I don't know, if you are like SaaS business based on some web page application or web application, then basically your cloud ops is responsible for your networking and infrastructure, and you have some product teams which basically create the application. If it is more complicated, then it is a tricky part, because some teams can actually be responsible for big part of infrastructure. For example, for messaging, like I can imagine that the team which is writing the code can deploy it by CI/CD pipeline, can actually handle the CI/CD pipeline, can actually define the topics and subscribers probably, so can manage this. And the cloud ops supposed to manage the like Terraform itself or whatever infrastructure code you are using, probably part of pipeline and Kubernetes and whatever it is deployed on, and monitoring and stuff like that. But if it is like more and more complicated, there will be also some kind of gray area, which is tricky to handle, and could be managed from like several teams.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I do not like okay, this is now DevOps and this is platform engineering and these guys are cloud ops. I believe every company have this differently, and we've seen these trends with SRE, right? Everybody was, okay, let's adopt SRE, we will have the SRE teams and they will do this and that based on the Google SRE book or Netflix SRE model. This usually does not work, and every company needs to find their own way, because your company is not Google. You don't have that shitload of people and money. And I agree with Matúš that as the company grows, you should have specialists in the team, people who really understands deeply the cloud, and move a little bit away from the everybody does everything like a DevOps model, because great developer will never be a great cloud guy, and vice versa.
Yeah, like I kind of agree. Like from my perspective, I really like the model where it's like some kind of cloud ops team who is like managing like infrastructure as is, and then developers in the team are able to like deploy application itself and do some kind of debugging and interact with the infrastructure. Like I think it's a really matter of the size of the company, because for example, if we have a company where I know CTO and one developer, probably the developer will be like developer, designer, cloud ops, and maybe many more like titles. And also what is important, it's like a matter of responsibility, because a lot of time I saw that, okay, it was company, it was divided, okay, so we have like some kind of cloud ops team, some developers was able to like deploy application to production, but in case of outages, who is responsible for this case? And there were the clash, because developers thought it should be cloud ops, and cloud ops thought, okay, but it's your application, you have the rights for the production, and this was like a big issue. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I remember when, as you said, developer deployed the application and said like, it's your problem now, but I tried to restart it, what should I do next? Then it will be always some mix of roles.
It's now my turn. So basically, yeah, I think like the important is that who is responsible in case of incident and what kind of incidents can happen. Because when you have the incident, you need to call the right guy who can fix it. So if the way to fix a code is deploy all the revision, then infrastructure engineers should take care of that, and their responsibility is the scaling, because this is about scaling. If you need to have a programmer to fix something in program, and without that you cannot handle the incident, then this is supposed to be handled by coders or programmers, but that sucks probably, because it's more likely infrastructure related incidents, and if it is like code related incidents and it happens like I don't know, several hours after a fresh deployment, then there is something really wrong and you need to roll out. And if you cannot like roll back, if you cannot roll back, then something is seriously wrong in your processes and you need to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, this reminded me Ivo Klimša from Tricentis. He is building the SRE team his own way. And before he takes responsibility for any application, he's asking the developers 3 questions. I remember 2 because they stuck with me. How can I break your application? And how I know it's broken? And then they can set up all the processes. And he described that usually it's also a discussion because the developers don't know how to break my application.
Sorry, I just so Tomáš mentioned that because Ivo was hosting our podcast. So if you want to hear it, you can find our podcast by our names. So that's the main reason why he mentioned it.
Okay. Anyway, I bet the third question is, where's documentation? Because
exactly.
Developers hate that question.
Yeah. I just want to add that, like, from my perspective, it doesn't matter which model your company use, like, whenever the developer have access to production or not, but it's really important to, like, have this responsibility set up, because it's not healthy when I know developer is, I don't know, scaling some kind of infrastructure component and infrastructure team doing something without knowing the developers. It should be aligned, because otherwise it's really dangerous for your business, because it turns into outages and also like damages for your business as well.
So, Dominik, Tomáš, Matúš, thanks for the amazing responses. The easy part of the panel is behind us, and now the audience will have 10 minutes to freshen up and eat something, chat with friends, and we'll meet here in 10 minutes and get to the more meaty introspective questions. So, enjoy. Right, so it's time. So take your seats, calm a bit down. I'll ask the last panelist to join us. Also, if you would mind sitting a bit closer, that'd be also lovely. So don't be afraid, we don't bite yet. So perfect, lovely. Exactly. Right, so microphone.
Ale tak mu to ať začne, on mluvil nejmíň.
So, I'll start lightly. The first question is not about your expertise, but about your experience. So, can you tell us about a project or about a feature that's behind you, which makes you feel proud whenever you think about it? So, give us a success story.
Okay. It's a tough question. For me, it would be developer portal for Erste Group. We developed it like basically greenfield from scratch, and me personally, I was there as well developer as well as operation. So I had like full end-to-end like role on that project. I started as a developer, and then since it goes into production, I was also taking care of the provisioning the app and like keep the maintenance. And I think it was quite nice project. Like Erste is a big company, it's still alive, and I think it helped lots of companies to integrate with bank. And it was like one of the first bank portals in at least Europe, I think. So it was really nice and big project, and I learned lots of stuff there. Matúš?
Nice.
So, I think the biggest success was when we starting to developing new API. We used to have like a legacy API, like monolithic PHP application, and we need to innovate, and we also need to migrate out. And like 2.5 years ago, we started like in small group to figuring out how we are going to base it on some serverless technology. And since that, we built like event-driven microservice architecture on Cloud Runs, maybe some hybrid on Kubernetes soon, and which is now like quite easy actually to create a new service. Like we have everything almost ready that way that for developer it's like really easy actually to create it, which is like I think it's like very, very unique thing. And also because it is event-driven architecture, it's by nature designed to work with some spikes, because it's automatically scaling on Cloud Run. So it has some pros and cons, but it's like super giant leap from what it used to be. And I'm really proud for that when guys started doing this, it was like nobody really knows how to do it. Like we discussed with our cloud partner, like are you going to use Cloud Functions or Cloud Runs, and how it is really working. Like we know nothing. Since that, we have 60 services, we have 3 million messages in PubSub, and it is working okay-ish. Like it is working really good, but we now figure out some bottlenecks, and we are able to solve it. So I am really proud for this. Like do this jump in 2 years. It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm always saying that I'm proud of every project I was part of, and I left. Because it gave something to me, and I gave something to the project, right? And the nature of the job, what I'm doing now, is that we don't do like huge projects, huge migrations, whatever. But I'm super happy whenever a customer comes and says, hey, I have this problem. Either it's small or big one, I don't care. It just makes me happy that we are solving the problem which the customer have. It might be just small tweak in serving images and then saving money by implementing of CDN or some technology, or a big migration from one cloud to another. I don't see the difference. I'm always happy to solve the problem.
Started to sound like you're happy when your clients have problems, but you fix that in the end.
Yeah, because they are paying.
They are not. We do this for free.
Anyway, if we would move from the successes to, let's say, disagreements you had within your team about your cloud strategy, Can you give us a example where there was a memorable disagreement in the team and how you solved it?
Okay, some members of my teams are laughing right now because it would be definitely our discussion about monitoring last week. But more general, I think it's super challenging to somehow find the best suitable solution for the customer, because we have like multiple customers, like multiple stacks, like some kind of serverless, some kind of not serverless, multiple clouds, but still we do have some kind of, how to say, common stack within the team, which we are like provisioning in our internal infrastructure, and we know this stack really great. And it's really hard sometimes, like, think out of the box and came with the idea, okay, so maybe for this client it's not great use this kind of monitoring. We know it's maybe there is maybe like a different option which would be better, for example managed stack from the provider, and yes, so that's it. It was like a big discussion within the team. It was like generally last week, and we discussed it, how to approach this stuff, because we always try to find the best solution for the customer, but sometimes it's hard to like remember this pattern, like, okay, so maybe there are like many options, and compare it and give the customer the option.
Okay, you describe it well. Basically, when I was in the product companies, it's developers wants to play, right? And AWS have like hundreds of services, Google as well, like 100 or so. They want to play, they want to explore. Hey, I've seen this amazing article and I want to try this new service and that new service. And then like they do, and they try if they have the permissions, and then yeah, out of nowhere it's in production and handling my payments, or like critical part of my infrastructure. And then like, guys, like what the DevOps or cloud platform engineers should do now, they should learn new service and start supporting you. And that's one of the disagreements in many of these companies, where we should start standardizing and start using the boring technology, as Matúš is calling it.
Is that the disagreement in your company as well?
Sorry?
Is that a disagreement in your company as well?
Not really. We don't build the product, right? We need to support them all, basically.
Yeah, but the question was like whether you could tell us about the disagreement you had in your company and how you handled it.
The company we started like a year ago.
So no disagreements yet?
There is change of direction, let's say, and so on and so forth. And not a disagreement, I would say, as I described, the customer comes with a challenge or a problem, and they think they know how to solve it, and then we discuss. Yeah, I would not call it disagreement. It's just, okay, I believe we should go, I don't know, Cloudflare or Cloud CDN. What is better? We believe this is better because Cloudflare is amazing, right? And then, okay, it's discussion.
Sounds really lovely. Matúš?
Yeah, so actually I like choosing boring technology, but on other side I also really like YOLO punk engineering strategy, just to try something. But like in exact things which happens in our team, I actually bring some colleagues who are author of these discussions. Many times we have we are slightly fighting about the responsibilities of the services. Like you have some kind of data or some kind of storage, and which service is responsible. Typically, when like several services are touching those data, which one is responsible for the like the data are up to date, or which service can change it. And like biggest fight was like if only one service can change some data, read and write, or several services can touch the same data on some I don't know, memory store. And this was actually like you have like very good ideas why it is good way to use some storage, and many services will touch it. And there is also a very good reason why to do it just by one service. And we decided to go by just always one service, and we have like strict responsibilities, which is good, but maybe slower. So it's still like I think we will be fighting like more. But this is like pattern probably everybody is facing in some kind of microservice architecture. So that's one.
Thanks a lot. Maybe you can move to the next question. Okay, Dominik.
I just remember one thing we already argue in our team, and it's really special for our company because we do have all providers, and it's the preference of the provider. It's always really great source of the discussion because from some reasons every cloud engineer is really opinionated about the provider of choice, and yeah, honestly, someone likes Azure and someone not, and it's always the discussion within the team.
Thanks.
Which one is winning? I see the Tomáš have Google Cloud on his T-shirt, but which cloud is winning in uplifting?
I would say it's changing in time, but currently it's AWS, GCP, and then Azure would be the rating right now.
When the money blows.
Yeah, exactly. The business. Where is the business?
Right. If we get to the cloud migration, which is usually a big topic, what are the most usual mistakes companies do when migrating to cloud?
Lift and shift.
Could you elaborate?
Yeah, I can. I think the biggest mistake is just moving resources from on-premise environment into the cloud. I think it's always reasonable to not do in this way. It's always good to do it with some kind of strategy, which usually involves some kind of change in architecture. And for example, we in Uplifting did this for FTMO. They had big PHP monolith on-premise solution, and we helped them to change the architecture, break the system in the microservice, and then partially step by step migrate into cloud. Yeah, to Google Cloud. And this is the way, do it in some kind of strategy and not only changing the infrastructure, because then there is no advantage of the cloud. It would be only expensive, and there is no room for getting some kind of benefits from the managed environment and some kind of support, because it's just changing one virtual machine for another virtual machine on in the different color basically.
Yeah, so it's good to notice that I'm not doing any kind of migration. So we are fully in cloud except some building machines. But I did it before, and I think it's exactly about the strategy. And the idea is that many companies which use bare metal deployments, they typically manage to really focus on that bare metal, and they have everything set up properly for bare metal. And then they want to migrate it somehow bare metal-ish to the cloud. Basically, they are using compute, and that sucks because this is expensive. And also, they used to have some kind of big storages, for example, or networking is not that big deal between the servers in data center. But now they need to split to zones and stuff like that. So networking is now an issue. Also, network is quite fast in data center. It is not that fast in cloud. Typically in data center you can have 100 gigabit network, optical cables, easy. 100 gigabit in data center is in cloud is very hard to achieve. You need to contact your provider and ask for it. So you need to have some kind of strategy, and you need to probably change your application, as we mentioned several times. And if you cannot do it, then it is tricky, and you need to prepare well above. And if you cannot, then it sucks, and you will be paid much more money in the cloud. So this is probably the reason why now all the cloud providers and many companies are doing the hybrid cloud solutions, because many things are not good in cloud and very hard to migrate, but many things are good in cloud, especially scaling or special services you don't want to deploy in your data center because you don't want to manage a huge database or some fancy new technology, but you want to use it in cloud. So I think migration is not the good thing. Stay on-prem and just migrate what you can do in cloud, and then let the on-prem die slowly.
Thanks.
Yeah, I agree with you guys, and I would add one more strategy, which I would use being big company again. go to the cloud you like, choose wisely, don't go just because, talk to them, and then choose a new workload to run in cloud. Because that way the engineers and so on will experience the good side of a cloud, and they will know what it can do for them, and then they will help you to rewrite the applications and standardize whatever, and utilize the cloud in the way how it should be utilized. The bad thing on this, it will take time. It's not thing which you will achieve in few months.
Thanks. Maybe Dominik wants to add something?
Yes, you mentioned one like important thing, because if you say like a migration to cloud, I think everybody thinks about the money, like the money about the like resources in the data center and also in the cloud. But what is important is like also the education and training of your people in-house, because if you are a company with on-prem infrastructure, you probably have some developers who are aware of this current infrastructure. You have some operation people aware of this kind of infrastructure. And then moving to the cloud is also big shift for these people regarding the knowledge and expertise, and this also could be really expensive and hard. So this is why it's important to do it like properly with some kind of strategy.
Yeah, you are like my wife, you are finishing my thoughts.
Anyway, so if we move towards the cloud security, was there any memorable aha moment which you had, which changed your approach to how you treat cloud security?
There is a lot of aha moments in cloud. The great thing on cloud for startups especially is that the security on cloud is on much better level than when you go and buy your first bare metal. Then you can leverage when you are bootstrapping, doing the MVPs until you have customers, so on and so forth. The default security is good enough for you and you don't need to care. And then once your company is maturing, then you can go and utilize all the products which are developed for cloud. And one of the basics you have in cloud, like all the DDoS protections and OWASP top 10, you can just click, deploy the rules to mitigate them, and you have it. Then security in cloud, it's amazing, especially for the startups. And then you mature, you deploy the IDS, IPS, blah, blah, and you move to the like smart security.
Yeah, so that's true. Like reality is many times that you migrated to cloud somehow and you are building your product. And after, I don't know, years, you figure out that you need to turn on some scans or something, and then it can be painful. So that's happened also to us. But in general, yeah, cloud is like really secure. Cloud itself is secure, but your application is typically not. And your developers are typically, you know, putting API keys somewhere, never rotating them, putting passwords in plain text somewhere, opening APIs, stuff like that. So, and this is happening all the time. So you need to have monitoring for that. You need to have some security center, and you need to basically killing all the issues as these are like coming. And it's also very good to be proactive. So for me, like our wow moment was that we are actually starting to doing this like several months or maybe a year ago, and we figure out that it is actually quite hard to do.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Like, I would like to refer for some kind of access management side of the things. Like, my biggest aha moment was like how much companies we work for have really weak policies for like access management in the cloud. And it could be really powerful because there is like a really big granularity in the access management in all clouds. But like for me, this is something which is really underestimated, because I see many times that there was a company of, I don't know, 20 people and 19 of them have like owner role for a whole cluster, which are able to like shut down the cluster like this. So maybe this is like kind of a little bit difference compared to on-prem solution, because in on-prem solution there are not that many people with keys of the rack. In cloud it's slightly different. So my advice is like try to like set up these policies from the beginning, because then after some time the business will be profitable, and it could be really dangerous that many people have access in many resources. Yeah.
Yeah, so the thing is to turn on any kind of functionality which is scanning, like service accounts, passwords, API keys leaking. So, for example, in GCP or so AWS, you can like scan your policies, and then you will figure out that you have like service accounts of that, basically service account which is doing, I don't know, something small, but it's owner or admin. And this is happening especially for the small companies turning on to be a big companies.
I just want to add, it's like, from my perspective, it's not that big overhead to start like implementing this like security policies and patterns in the application, but it's super hard to do it when the application is super big. There are lots of people, there is some leak or outage, and you should do it like over the night. So it was my advice, like try to give a little bit focus on the security from the beginning.
Maybe one good thing to think about once your company is growing is the zero trust, right? You can have this with identity aware proxy on GCP, or you can get the similar functionality from Cloudflare. Does not really matter, just think about it, implement it, because it will give you a lot of audit logs and insights what's happening in your company and who's accessing what.
Like also, you have an opinion?
Well, I have plenty of opinions, but I'm not here to tell you them. But we can perhaps move to the next question to give some time to the audience at the end. So do you or your teams have any, let's say, superstitions or rituals or anything you do when you are deploying new services or doing migrations? Anything that brings luck?
I have only one: don't deploy on Friday evening.
Great advice, yeah.
Yeah, like.
But I think it's not secret. Like it should be like that.
Like yeah, that's one thing probably. It's happened to everybody. I don't actually know. We probably deploying like many times on Friday, because it's like the deadline was on Tuesday, but it's already Friday, so then you need to deploy it. But yeah, probably good thing is to thinking about the rollback procedure, like and do some tests, like probably run some staging tests or whatever development account test, not just YOLO onto production, not to testing on production. That's probably the best.
It's not the kind of ritual I expected, but yeah, that's a good advice. Yeah.
Like you think like I don't know, like kill a chicken before the release or something like that?
Well, vegans might not like that, but yeah, basically.
We like chickens. We don't develop product, then we don't have the rituals.
Okay. So if we were to look at the tools you and your companies use to work with cloud and work within your teams, what would be the tools you recommend to the audience? What are the go-to tools without which you cannot imagine working with cloud?
Yeah, does not really matter if you are using whatever Terraform or Pulumai or whatever suits you the best, right? Whatever your people have experienced the best. And I would say from my perspective, it's who choose the tool you can easily hire for. If you will choose something which is super rare in Czech Republic and you are hiring in Czech Republic, you will suffer. Does not matter what the tool is, then let's say infrastructure over code, I mentioned it, I would go Terraform or Pulumai. I would not go something super custom, super latest, greatest, edgiest. And I'm not tool biased. I like them all. I just look to the client and the use case.
Yeah, this is actually quite a tricky question. I think like some observability tools, we are using Datadog or logging in GCP. This is something I use really often. And then Git, obviously, it's like the most important. I think really the most important thing you can use in your company is, and then I don't know, like Postman is quite cool tool, and we are using it a lot. But except that, I don't know.
Are you team GitLab or GitHub?
GitHub.
Okay. Okay, just for the record. Okay, like I have it kind of same as Tomáš because I'm not that tool oriented. But what I would suggest is like try to stick with something. Let's call it state of the art or best practices, because all providers are providing some kind of best practices how to build and operate the products and infrastructure within like their environment. And I think it's always good to like be inspired, not like blindly follow these rules, but be inspired by these rules, because there are lots of like secret insights which could help you in many areas. But since I'm doing business, if I should say one tool, it would be like a Google Sheet. I cannot imagine my life without Google Sheet, honestly. That's the answer.
Thanks. So the last question from me before I give word to the audience is that if you would be looking back at your years of experience and you would be starting all over again, what piece of advice would you give to yourself those years ago in regard to cloud specifically? Apart from don't do it.
Okay, so like some years ago there was some kind of unofficial race between Docker Swarm and Kubernetes, and we chose Docker Swarm on some project, and it was a really bad decision, and we are paying some we are paying for it still until now, but like in general for me, like maybe more wisely choose the tools you are using, because many times I experienced that we, as Tomáš said before, like we find out some super cool tool and we skip the discussion, we deploy it and we start using it, and then we realize that maybe it wasn't that good decision in the beginning. Sometimes it was really awesome decision, but sometimes not. So I kind of like this, as you mentioned, this hippie way to try the things and iterate quickly, but sometimes it's really hard, like stop the iteration and you stick with a really shitty tool and then you are really suffering from it. So yeah, it would be like my answer.
Yeah, something similar, like choose technology as soon as possible. Try to think about the future, but not much, because it's more important to iterate quickly. And if something sucks and you don't want to use it, then migrate out as soon as possible.
Yeah, I would look a little more on the personal level. I'd say the best thing regarding cloud is talk to people. Go to these meetups, talk to the people, read the articles, what use cases are good for in this or that cloud, and understand the cloud from the others who already went some way, failed or succeeded.
Thanks. Maybe Dominik wants to add something?
No, I just want to add that it's like, especially also in software development, also in cloud, it's really hard to like choose the like concurrent tools for some certain thing. Because if you open, I don't know, I need a monitoring, there will be, I don't know, Grafana stack, and every article will say you that Grafana stack is only waiting and you should stick with it, but there are plenty more. So I agree with you, Tomáš, it's always good to ask like some people who have this experience, and these people are able to give you the advice about these questions, and it will save you lots of time and lots of pain in the future.
Yeah, I will connect to this as well, is that if you choose, let's say, AWS and then stick to AWS because migration to Azure might look like great idea, but will not solve all your problems. Might solve the problem you have with AWS, but it will at some point show you 10 more problems you will need to solve anyway. If you have a problem, and it can be a cloud, it can be a technology, monitoring stack, does not make sense to migrate from Elk to Grafana stack to Datadog. Look what is your problem and try to solve it by solving the problem, not migrating to another technology because it solves this one niche, right?
Yeah, I just want to mention that it's like paradigm to choosing a boring technology, because like many people probably can use it and many people have the knowledge, and you don't want to necessarily choose the most hype out technology because it is not mature enough. and also can be very expensive in future.
Then you have the boring kit.
Thanks. So those were all the questions from me. And now we have one question on Slido, and then I'll ask if the audience has more questions. And the question from the Slido is, and perhaps it's best for Tomáš, but you may answer as well. Is waiving export fees upon contract termination by Google Cloud a positive move, or will it lead to more cloud migrations? And I can read it again. Or is waiving export fees upon contract termination by Google Cloud a positive move, or will it lead to more cloud migrations?
I'd say because this is recorded, I don't want to answer. We can take it offline.
Okay. Is there anyone from the panelists who perhaps wants to talk about this?
Like, I have really no experience, and yeah, I think, well, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I probably it's about like more clarification about that question.
Yeah, I will try to clarify a little bit because it refers that Google Cloud announced, I don't know, 1 or 2 months ago that they are like able to like migrate from cloud like with zero cost regarding networking and this stuff. Yeah. So the question is whether this is like actually good or not, but we will discuss it after the session, I guess. This is right. Yeah.
Great. So that was the question from a Slido. So are there any questions in the room? Anyone? Yeah.
Thanks. So few times you have mentioned that the raw compute, like raw VMs are the most expensive, and using the managed software is like cheaper. So how do you balance or how do you decide what to use if the managed service is more expensive than the bare VM, and then you have like the developer time versus the managed service? Because especially in AI, that happens because the bare VM is the raw compute, which is cheapest, and every service is service on top of this VM, so you pay for all. So that was like my surprise when I got into cloud and AI, and everyone was telling me raw bare metal is the most costly, and for AI it's not. So how do you deal with this?
Yeah, probably AI is like very special because, you know, like a lot of cost was spent on like, you know, teaching the AI to be AI. So it is expensive. But typically when you have some managed service, for example in Google Cloud, when you have a managed database, you are paying only for the resources. So it's same price, pretty much the same price as you deploy compute. Then you have like compute, and on top of that you have a managed service. And this is like common thing. So because of that, like managed services is slightly better because you will never be that good as Google engineer to create a database. Or probably you will be if you have some specific kind of database and you want to run it on compute. Then select compute. But if you just need a database and you need to have HA, or you need some kind of service and there is a managed service and you need the AA, you need the SLAs and stuff like that, then it's better to choose the managed service. But obviously it is about the price. So if the price is too high, because it's some kind of specialty, then you need to run it on your own, simply because you don't have enough money.
Yeah, you said one thing, and it's true in not just AI. The bare metal is the cheapest. That's the truth. And then you go to the cloud and you have the VM, which is a little more expensive. You pay the premium for that. Someone's managing for you the underlying hardware, right? Then you go to the managed service, and on the VM you can install the Postgres database, for example, right? Then, okay, you need people to manage it, right? And as Matúš said, like set up the HA backups, blah, blah. Then you go to the manage where you have everything out of the box. You can click, you have the fully managed database with all these nice features developed by people, managed by the people. Then the real question, it's not engineering, not much that of a price of the cloud. It's like at what point the cloud is cheaper than you? Because I need to pay 5 engineers to manage my bare metal, 3 engineers to manage my VM, but 0.1 of a contract of a developer can manage the Cloud SQL.
Yeah, and also you mentioned the AI, and we have like lots of companies with Uplifting wanting to do something in AI, and they like they want to try it. They want to be flexible. They want to really quickly iterate, and like I don't know any company right now who are like able to afford like to actually buy these specialized hardware for AI, because they don't even have the use case. They are just experimenting, and the cloud is giving them this opportunity, because you are able to get really small part of, for example, a 100 graphic card, just to try your workload, and maybe after some time, if there will be the use case, they will be like willing to buy actual hardware because it would be cheaper for operation, but they are now not able to do so because they don't have this hardware.
Yeah, regarding the AI, I believe that's the best thing what happened to cloud providers, because infrastructure started to be kind of stable, right? Companies were growing, okay, but AI is 100 times more expensive than selling one CPU. That's an amazing business for the cloud providers. It's expensive as hell. Everybody wants to do it. Crazy.
Yeah, I slightly disagree with Tomáš, because I think like AI is a hype now. Like everybody wants AI. Like I know like many people in high management roles, and they're like, we need an AI. What are you going to do it? I don't care. We need an AI. But the problem is that AI is not profitable business at all, and nobody knows how much it costs to Microsoft, Google, and I think like shitload of money, and it is not earning, like it is earning nothing, because like nobody really productize it. Like yeah, ChatGPT is selling that, but they are burning money. And the question is how the business model for AI will look like. And because it is a new technology, like nobody have a real business model. So it will not be profitable for companies soon. Probably it will be like really profitable, but now it is not profitable.
Yeah, and I disagree with this completely. I had a very similar point of view until I talked to a few companies, and they have use cases for AI, because what is AI? Is AI ChatGPT? Is the chatbot what is now in the news? No, AI is with us for years and years. All the prediction AIs, all the suggestion AI with, let's say you are going to Alza and you are writing there something, this is AI in the end of the day. It's a model which is trained on your products, recommending you the similar products, so on and so forth. This is AI, and you can put very nice ROI on it. Then I believe there is many AI use cases, and the biggest value I see these days is, let's say, operations. It's not in IT that much, but it's in operations. And in tech, what I see the biggest value is the developer-focused models like Cody and so on, where you put your code base to it, and now out of your developer, which was like 10x developer, you can easily do with AI the 100x developer, because he does not need to do the boring small stuff, documentation, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, like writing documentation and content, that's something which is like very suitable for generative AI or large language models, which is that new technology. Like AI, like machine learning and stuff like that, basically bunch of ifs somewhere. Yeah, it was here for many years, but yeah, that's not what AI, like generative AI, which is like ChatGPT 4, and there will be 5 soon, and Gemini. Yeah, but this is something which I think is still not earning money at all. Like machine learning, some models and stuff like that, like chatbots. Yeah, this is like good thing, but I think it's like relatively old, or used to be here for several years, and this is okay. But now whole world is using generative AI, which is not profitable, and yeah, you can use it like ChatGPT to generate some code, stuff like that. But still, just like small amount of money paying for that part, and shitload of money is wasting because you are generating fancy pictures.
For that, yes.
I have like a really short note. I don't know anything about the profitability of this model, but what I see within lots of companies, like it's actually saving the money. So maybe this is like the purpose of this like AI, generative AI models like right now, and maybe we will see some kind of new use case opportunities in the future. Because I kindly, to like calm down the discussion, I kindly like agree with both of you, because I think there are like lots of companies only within the hype of AI nowadays, but there are still on the other side lots of companies with like proper use case where it's like some kind of possibility of revenue and profitability within the like implementing AI and also the generative AI.
Thanks for the fascinating discussion. Just if I may add my 2 cents to this, well, we do quite a lot of AI development and uplifting, and well, it's kind of hard to tell customers that AI is not the right direction and they shouldn't do it. But yeah, anytime you have some feelings that the AI is not necessary and it won't generate any profit for the company, you should just tell the customer that they don't need it, and you will be a better partner to them. Yeah, anyway, are there any more questions in the room? Anyone? Perfect.
I hope
Now
Martin is
it's
going
for
to ask
a
Tomáš.
question for Matúš. I would like to ask if anyone here has the real practical experiences with using the AI for observability, because we were experiencing with that at Rouvy, but well, it was a failure because Google was, well, it was suggesting us some stupid things.
You mean do it AI?
Yeah. And the other thing is with the alternative to GitHub Copilot, as you mentioned, the Cody, that if when you put your code base to it, if you can get really the outputs from that it's so much beneficial to your developers. I don't know if any one of you can respond to me.
Okay, I will respond to the Cody. It's as with every tool, right? It's amazing that you can put into it your code base and then it's based on your expectation. If you expect that you can fire the developer and you can write a prompt and it will give you the feature you want, it will never. But if you are asking it, hey, where is this function? What is it doing? What is this input, that input? Can you write me this function which will do this and that? Or can you help me to write test? How can I break my code? It's about the expectation, what it can do for you today. Yes, I agree, it will not write you features and maybe never. But it will, these simple things where you need a context switch in your brain, you need to focus here or there or search the code in the classic way, it will change how we are thinking when you are writing the code. Then yes, it takes time to get used to it and explore what it can do today and go with the flow and do it.
Observability, AI observability. Can I add something to that?
Yes.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting, like a perspective, because like we usually in Uplifting came to the client and they already have some kind of solution in place, and it's really nice to like use this kind of generative AI for like actually understanding the current solution. I'm not saying that we will like take all the solution and put it in some kind of online open AI, but it's possible to use some kind of local models to understand actually the code, because we are doing some kind of code review, some kind of audit, and this can give you some kind of a better perspective. And I think this could be also used, for example, for like newbies in the team. You have already some stack, and this can help you like boost this process of like onboarding the people in the workload.
But I think like part of the question was how good it is if you are using like this approach, like because it can be really shitty, you know, the AI. It can tell you something which is not true, and you cannot like ask ChatGPT, give me a SQL example and run it on the production database. You need to check it, and if you are using it for this, it's good. But if you are using for analyzing code you don't know, then it is tricky, right?
I completely agree, and I think it should be like it should be done wisely. For example, you mentioned this SQLite queries. I using it, and for me it's like only of like cutting the time, because from my experience, for instance, ChatGPT gives you, I don't know, query which is 95% good, and there are some just small adjustment, but it's still much faster than if like I will be like writing the query from the beginning. And then, as you mentioned, if you try to describe the code, yeah, you should be like aware of that. It's not about you put there the code base and then, okay, this is app for, I don't know, to-dos within America, and that's it. It's like, for me, it's like another perspective. It's like some tool which could help you, but right now it's not able to replace the process.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mentioned. AI, you cannot throw out your brain. You still need to use it. You still need to think about the outputs you are getting and think about it, the SQL and so on. And by the way, Matúš, here you have the ROI. If the AI can read the code and make your onboarding process 2 months faster, and you are paying your engineer $10,000 a month, you just save 20K by paying, I don't know, like $50 for the AI.
Yeah, but like as Martin asked, like the real, like this is like general perspective, and I agree. But like real experience, for example, like our real experience with exact AI, like slightly sucks. Like with analyzing of like observability and stuff, it was like not really helping. Like in the beginning, now it is changing.
Yeah, like honestly, for me, this is like a little bit stepping out from my like current role, because it's a little bit more about development, not the infrastructure as it. But I was trying using like also OpenAI and Copilot for example, generating the like unit tests for code, and like it was kind of okay-ish, like for really small parts of functionality. And I think this really can save the time of the development, because if you have, I don't know, some kind of feature, you spend on that, I don't know, 2 man days, and then there is like I don't know, 2 or 4 hours for like writing the unit test, and you are able to generate them and then only like correct or like check them. It can save you, I don't know, for example, 2 hours on 2 man days task, and if you are doing this regularly, all members in the team, you can actually be like faster in the development and save some money on the resources.
Yeah, but by the way, you mentioned the Duet AI. Yes, it's not the best ever, but again, if you reduce your expectations to what it can really do today, and then Matúš, you said it, it's getting better. Test it in, again, like in 3 months, 6 months. It will be completely different. Like the providers are now onboarding this. I believe the best value you can get today from the experience is really, as you described, like small pieces of code on infrastructure. Terraform, it's amazing. It can generate the resources for you, so on and so forth. Then it's really this way. And it works like in real case. It's not, you know, PR.
We actually don't have that experience with Duet AI, but I can agree with ChatGPT and probably Gemini. But with Duet AI, it's like it's turned off already. But probably, yeah, it will learn more. And then like the expectation was, tell me how to do this shit. Yeah, like this. But it was not like that. So
Thanks for the lovely answers. And are there any more questions in the room? Anyone?
I would like to ask about the practical. Well, if you tried the AI in observability, as you mentioned, because that was the hugest failure, and I'm quite curious because Google mentioned with presenting Duet AI that you can put it, you can give it your code base, and it will help you with even with your microservice architecture. But well, I'm quite curious.
I thought that we didn't answer the question because it was like multiple parts and it was complicated. Like from my perspective, it was only in level of wish, this kind of like using generative AI for observability, because I see there the opportunity. I know how works observability. I know how works like these AI generative agents, this kind of stuff, and I think there could be use case and there is opportunity. By honestly, I didn't try like anything particular.
Yeah. Okay, I will try to answer as politically as correct as I can. You know how PR works, right? You release the video with the best use case you can sell, the best use case and it's tailored to it. And then you have billion other companies, billion other code bases and so on and so forth. You realistically just cannot expect it will work for you the same way as it worked on the video day one. You can expect it will go there at some point in a time, and this is happening all over the technical world, where Google released Gemini 1.5. What happened 2 days after that? ChatGPT is releasing version 5 and some PR about this. Then you need to really watch what is the reality and what is the PR, and then make your own expectations. And as you said it, go test it. Does it work for me? Same for Duet AI in Workspace. It's amazing for emails or sheets, but for example in presentations, sorry. Then really it's about this from me.
Thanks. Any more questions? Anyone?
We can go to networking then.
Yeah, doesn't seem like it. In that case, Tomáš, Matúš, Dominik, thank you very much for the lovely discussion. I hope you all learned something today. I definitely did. And see you next time on the next Crew Talk. Thanks for being here.
Thank you guys for coming, and also thank you, Philip, for moderating the discussion.